Again. Yes, next weekend will be 70.
Yeah.
I'll take that.
Okay. So, we'd like to take the roll. So if Sarah, if you could take the roll for us, please.
Sure. Tom Sonnek,
Here.
Carey Nadeau, Amanda Black,
Here.
Stacy Maher.
Here.
Emily Haeg Nguyen is out today. Lisa Ritchie,
Here.
C. Yang, Cecelia Goracki, Lisa Wong,
Here.
and myself here.
Okay, I'd like for us to next adopt the agenda. So what we've got is the minutes, meeting open to public, public hearings, commission business action items, old business, anything anyone would want to change or amend before we adopt the agenda as it is listed. I would just like to mention one thing, Sarah. I forgot to mention this to you before when you were putting the agenda together, but I think maybe, well, never mind, you have it on here. So on the reports from staff, the commissioner's city emails update, just so that we could have a fulsome discussion about that, how to use those email addresses and everything. So never mind, I guess that's already there. Don't need to change it. So unless there's anything else, I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda as listed.
So moved.
Carey.
And I'm gonna second that one. Sarah.
That was kind of a tie, but I think Carey got the whole thing out. So Carey, any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We're all good. Okay, we got an agenda. Approval of minutes, if everyone had a chance to read through the minutes. If you, anything that you would like to amend, change, add, anything? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes as they had been reported.
I second that motion.
Did someone first it?
So moved.
Amanda?
Oh, wait.
One more time.
Was there? I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes from March 8th, 2023.
No, you go for it. You do it.
Oh, for God's sake.
You go for it. I move.
Okay, thank you. And now Lisa?
I second that
okay.
motion.
All right, do we need to do some jumping jacks before we continue? Is everybody okay? All right. All right, any discussion about the minutes? There's, obviously I wasn't here, I read through the minutes, and there are things that I'd like to continue discussing, but nothing to change. So if not, all those in favor of approving the minutes as is, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, minutes are approved, meeting open to public. There's no one from the public here. Public hearings, we have none, so we are on to item 7, commission business, action items and recommendations. So as we have been doing this year, we will work through our improvement plan, our work improvement A3. And I have this up on my computer now, so I will make updates as we go. So our purpose of this plan is to develop forms of artistic and cultural expression in North St. Paul. And we have several future state goals, but we more specifically have key initiatives that we have been working on this year. So the very first is Project Snowy, and I understand there was a big update about this at last month's meeting, so I wanted to see if there is anything more that subgroup would like to discuss at this meeting. Anything new?
Well, we did update the spreadsheet as far as like the timeline, because
Okay.
that was what we discussed last time, which was to make adjustments as far as like how it would look like if we were to make it, if we were to execute it next year versus this year. And so that is on the big sheet that Sarah has printed. Thank you so much. I did make minor changes yesterday, but not much. It's very similar to what you're seeing right now. And basically, we are just taking a lot of this time up front to really define the programming, kind of like figure out more of the answers to the questions that we have. We still have some of the questions that are still unanswered, that we will need the expertise of our city folks, along with maybe the help of this team, this group, and anyone else as well. And yeah, what else? Losing my train of thought, sorry.
We will, our next big thing is to get our final costs down, and then we can have final purchase agreements and artist agreements, so then we could probably go forward with getting those, reaching out to places in order for purchases.
So finalizing the cost?
Yes.
Which we have somewhat, and as in like we also want to bring it up with this group.
Yes.
So we are wanting, well, like after looking at all the cost, it will, will come. If we are to charge the 5,000, which we've always been planning to do so, we actually won't cover the full cost of what it will take. That being with,
Delivery costs, that type of thing?
not even delivery cost, actually.
ask,
Yeah, just, it's the statue, the base, the clear coat, the vomella, and artist stipend, yeah.
Okay.
So statue, yep, I can even pull it up here. So actual cost, so it's $1,000 for the artist stipend, right? $3,750 for the statue and the base. $50 for the vomella. It's actually probably maybe like 20 to 30, maybe. $400 for the clear coat. $100 for packaging from Tivoli 2. And that in itself will be over 5,000.
Without transportation costs
Right.
involved.
So our suggestion,
53.
53, and so our suggestion is either 5,500 or more than that, just to help us with transportation along with admin. So 5,500 would be like the minimum, right? And it, did we want to consider charging more than that, just in case?
Did that absorb the encroachment fee as
No,
well? So that has, on top of the 5,300, is that?
Another
I think
50.
we talked about taking the encroachment fee out of the ACC budget for next year,
No.
just for the first year.
For the next year?
For the first year?
We could, but we still need to
Approve it.
approve it, but also build that into what the total cost is, so we know what the total cost of each one is. So it's messy. And
Yeah,
a
well,
lot.
yeah, and I know our group has been meeting and talking, and it has been there's a lot of things to talk about, right? So, but this, along with how we do want to approach things, and then how to approach the business association. Because I know we're defining the programming, which I did gather a document regarding the programming.
Could you define what the program looks like at this current moment?
Yep, so the programming is exactly how we've been describing it, which is just that we will, so businesses who are interested in purchasing will sign an agreement. We'll go through it with the vendor. Let me see if I could pull up some documents
So
here.
it's purchased directly with the vendor?
Nope, so it will be through, North St. Paul will facilitate everything with the city, and so then it will go into, so then we will interface with Tivoli 2. And then we will also be doing the artist call for artists, along with reviewing and providing that to purchasers to review and select from. Otherwise, our group, our our commission will also be responsible for doing so if they would like to opt out of that. And then artist compensation would, of course, come through the city. And then we would have like a specific time designated for when the artist would decorate the statue. Of course, TBD on the location and the time period, although I do have it marked here. It'll be about like 2, maybe 3 weeks option there. And then right after, it would be placement of the statue at a location that the purchaser desires. Otherwise, if they have donated it to the city, then we are in the mix of finding a location strategically to place these statues around the city. And then, of course, maintenance and upkeep will be the responsibility of North St. Paul if it belongs to us. Otherwise, it'll be up to the purchaser to maintain and upkeep it. And of course, for the Project Snowy Art Program, we'll have a dedicated webpage on the North St. Paul website, which will, still TBD on building it out, but the intention is to have, information on the artists, the people who have bought it, right? And then, and where they could find these snowies, these art sculptures. So in a way, promoting art, also our artists and the city and our businesses. And then having a walking map, and then media promotion, that's still up for discussion, but definitely, like press releases, e-news, social media, potentially, like maybe we could do videos, public events,
Which have yet to be defined. We have not
exactly,
defined it
yes.
yet. Yeah.
But it's loose. It's loosely put in here, but that's the intention, is to bring awareness and
Exposure and awareness. Yeah.
and support our businesses as well.
Can I ask a clarifying question?
Yes.
So when folks are purchasing the snowies, is the idea that that's being painted and done at one time? That's
Yes.
all at one time, like everybody's snowies?
All snowies. We will receive all snowies. We will order all snowies at the same time. We will
Got it.
receive them all at the same time. We will have them decorated at the same time.
Got it.
And all the transportation will happen at the same time.
Yes.
Excellent, yeah. I did talk to city manager about this particular project. He had some questions, and he was open to identifying a location. If you have certain things, I think that would be good, like different features you're looking for in a space.
Are you talking about for the artist to paint or for a future?
Paint.
permanent- That's perfect, because one thing we were told is,
Weight restrictions?
no, that I checked in on. No, Sarah, you checked with Roseville, right, about the roses?
Yes.
And they said there was
They're heavy?
yeah, the sculptures themselves need to be in a building that can handle the weight of that many sculptures.
I have that weight written down somewhere, but I can't remember. They're not excessively heavy.
Okay.
What is excessively heavy?
It seemed like they were just heavy enough that someone couldn't walk away with one.
Like 500 pounds each or something.
Not even that, I think, if I
Really?
remember.
100
I don't have
maybe?
my notes, yeah. I think
heavy, but they're-
Because it's
yeah.
with the base, because the statue itself is really not that heavy, but the base adds enough weight
Solid.
that someone can't just walk away with the thing. But they're not, I would want to say they're in like the 300-pound range, somewhere like that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so,
That's not bad. I thought I saw for the roses, it's 600
Yeah, it
pounds
was
or
something like that for
Sure
them, yeah.
Depends on what the sculpture is.
maybe they're
too.
solid.
They're 7 feet tall, and
The roses?
No, they're
yeah,
not.
the roses.
No.
7?
No.
They're not.
But they're like the bucket and then a flower, so you would think it's not that heavy, but
I think I've
I
seen
saw-
them, and I don't remember them being.
They're like 4.5
Really?
feet tall.
are they?
They're about 4.5.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe ours is
So
7 feet.
the other unforeseen potential complication are road weight restrictions that happen in the spring. So depending on what time
Which
we're
Sarah,
delivering,
yeah,
Yeah, I think we'll be all right.
clarified.
yeah. So
We can we can submit a request to,
Yes,
Give us
a
permission.
road allowance, and
Yeah.
I can certainly submit that when that time comes and work with them on that.
is that going to have to be submitted for the whole county, like wherever they're traveling though, not just in North St. Paul?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I would think that's also subject to the weather at the time,
Mm-hmm.
because it could make a big difference.
just a second, Tom's confused. There's a current weight restriction on roads
Oh,
For the
Load
spring.
bearing.
for the spring because of the time of year and potholes, I'm
Ground
assuming.
shifting. Well, the ground
So-
shifting and
Yeah.
just, yeah, the damage that can be caused.
So
They
that is
usually
a
start the
yearly.
beginning of March and last 6 to 8 weeks.
but so say they're 400 pounds, and there are 10 of them. 4,000 pounds?
I
Can't be
think
on a
that
road?
does exceed the limit.
Because it's on top of the axle of the vehicle.
Yep.
So,
Okay. Seems like there'd be heavier things going through town every day.
I
it's not
believe
just
there
North
are.
St. Paul. This is like a
Yeah.
Minnesota state
I know,
thing.
Yeah, I understand. I just,
Yeah.
it doesn't seem like we're talking, but I guess we'll find out.
It really is a short period. I think we could work around it.
Great.
So, a couple of things. One, I want to thank this sub-team for doing all this work, for what you're taking on. This is an awful lot of work, and I also want you to keep in mind that you're not alone. You don't need to execute this whole thing by yourselves, Stacy, C, and Amanda. So that's what the rest of us are here for. Questions, decisions, whatever, and additional help, you can always come back to the full commission. We can all be involved in executing different parts of this as needed, because I know it's a lot of work here. So just kudos and thank you for all of the work that you've done so far. There are a couple of questions about some of these cost things, just because there are some of the things that we have had discussions over the past, year or two with the supplier. And I wonder if, I'll just throw it out there, I wonder if we could somehow try to see if we could keep the cost at 5,000. I'd like the even number, and it's consistent with what we had been telling people in the past. There are, like one thing I wonder about is the $400 clear coat cost. And from what I understand, that would also include us, so we get all the snowies delivered to one place where the artists would paint them, and then we would have to bring them all back to Tivoli too, and they would clear coat them and then bring them back. So I don't ever recall that as part of the process when we were first talking about this. And my question is, why wouldn't we just have the artist clear coat them? Wouldn't that be part of their artist fee with their other materials?
I think we discussed it, and the thought is about like uniformity.
My biggest
and-
concern is, consistency in the quality and everlasting nature of these outdoor sculptures.
A suggestion to that would be that we would supply whatever that medium would be, so that they are all using the same clear coat.
That's what I was wondering, whether we supply it or we just say this is the required clear coat that you would have to use for it.
I think if we supply it, we can guarantee that then.
Sure, yeah, that's
And
an option.
what I mean by
just-
we supplying it would be part of the cost.
Would we also need to purchase the equipment for a sprayer for them to apply it in the same way? Like, it seems simple, but I think consistency is important, and if we can iron out those details and what the cost would be to purchase a sprayer like that could apply clear coat in a uniform manner.
If we don't already have one, yeah.
Yeah.
I have one.
Great.
Another thought that I had regarding, and I don't want to get off track here, but as we know, the cost of everything keeps rising, so chances are next year they may not be the price that they are at now. So as far as the contract goes, could we use some kind of wording that would lean towards cost plus, and then we would itemize, each thing? Because as time, or would we just rewrite the contract every year?
Or, well, what I would want, so the biggest cost, obviously, is the Tivoli 2 cost. And I think, were you suggesting, see, that at a certain point, we would try and lock in that price with Hart? You know, like if, could we, if we were to show him this new timeline and say, you know, our expectation is to have these orders in by X date 2024. So can you lock in a price for us? You know, what's the latest that you could lock in the price for us? Just to help us understand what we're working with.
Yeah, we have not discussed it with him. I know that was a point of a little tension there. And I, you know, like, because the question was like, should we purchase, you know, like ahead of time too? Or, you know, like to lock in the price, or, you know, like what kind of thing, you know, like what kind of method could we use to lock in a price? But we have not yet talked to Hart about it, so I think it's certainly
Yeah.
something.
I had a phone conversation with Hart in between meetings, and essentially, he's so wonderful to talk to. He's really excited for us to place our order so that he can schedule work around and other projects around it. And he's being as flexible as he can be. So we haven't necessarily broken the news that the timeline's being extended yet, because
Well, it is what it is, and I mean, we already paid for the cost of refurbishing the mold. And so, I think, you know, for the type of work that they do, I think this is a pretty small order. And I don't think it's, you know, I think they can probably work it in. I think it may be that we say, hey, you know, for everybody that puts an order in by December 31st of this year, we're locking in this price right here. You may order one later, but the price may go up a little bit. And then we say to Hart, what can we lock in through the end of the year? And knowing.
Put that verbiage into the contract, I believe.
And so then it gives us at least, you know, or whatever, or we could even lock it in earlier than that, I guess, right? To just say, hey, if we're gonna start talking to businesses now, and we say, you know, this target is 2024 now, I mean, it seems so early now to be pushing it, but, you know, if we were to say, you know, if you can lock in, if you commit by X date, here's the cost. After that, the cost may go up by a few $100, but we don't know. But this is the vendor's agreement that we have is, you know, I'm just, you know, throwing this out there, but, and it could be that I mean, the cost may have gone up already.
Well, no.
no.
No? When was
They
it?
have not.
Oh, okay.
Recent.
So this
It was
is
a
when you
recent,
talked to him
in the
recently.
last month or
We did
two.
have one price increase since we originally started this.
I think he did,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
I want
Yeah,
to
he
say that
did,
there
yeah.
was, yeah.
This quote that Steve read out was his most recent.
Yeah,
Okay.
Okay.
Perfect.
since February.
Yeah.
So,
I like the idea of promoting it as, if you sign up by this date, this is what the cost is going to be. So we can put or place a lump sum order.
yeah.
And we can do that with we could launch the program with bullet points of sign up by this time. This is what the program is going to be, more information to come in January or February of, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, I'm kind of smiling because our thing is that this is definitely going to be like a one time, and then we will review if we want to continue, because you know, like of course, doing it the first time, you know, we'll know a lot of things that we won't know, and the second time around might be easier, but it's also a bigger lift then.
What do you mean the second time around?
I mean, like, because you said, like, oh, order by this date.
Oh,
and then,
I see
like,
what you
what
mean.
about
Yeah,
all
yeah.
the people who order after that? Like, I don't know if we're going to.
Oh.
the program doesn't
have
really support one-offs the way that we've designed it, because there's so many complications about
Right.
the delivery and the painting
right.
and all of that. So it really has to be, to C's point, we have to get it right the first time.
Well, but there still
Ideally.
could be like, couldn't there still be like an early bird?
Like an early bird
thing.
special?
Like if you get your payment to us by X time and the payment is this much, and then we will continue to take orders up until blank. Because once you do the call for artists and you start selecting artists, you have to know what your number is, right? So that's where you can't, like, after you select artists and all that stuff, you can't just keep adding one by one after that, I think.
It is true, we need to cut off orders at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And it could just simply be a statement in the contract of price may increase based on the
Right.
market.
Yep.
And we don't have to put a date to it or anything. Keep it simple.
so something to think about. I'd love to, because, I mean, if we took off the $400 clear coat cost, right there, it knocks it down to under 5,000. And
Well, it does until you include shipping.
right, and right.
So I've gotten like base quotes on that, and we're looking anywhere between $200 and $400 every time they get on that truck. So if we're going back and forth with these things, that's a lot of money.
So we
Yeah, right.
reduce that if we purchase the clear coat and
Right.
set that up, but we also need to get a cost estimate on what that clear coat medium
Correct.
would cost.
Yes. Which I would think would be quite a bit less than that, but
Than $400 a statue, yes.
yeah.
Yeah,
But it could be $80 a statue times, you know.
but,
Good old
you can get a
$5-gallon
gallon
bucket.
of Varathane exterior for $60 or something, and that.
Ramsey County Hazardous Waste.
Yeah, right.
They have all
There
the
you go.
paints and like stains and stuff for free.
Well, we'll just clear coat it with this pink paint we found.
Solid beige stain.
Sarah,
right.
you mentioned getting quotes for transportation. Is that a certain company or are you?
So I contacted Hart about it, and he's given me kind of very broad quotes on shipping. So I asked him to get more specific to our location, and he's got in there a certain range of, depending on what truck we want, if we want a lift gate or if we want a forklift with it. And if we use a forklift after 20 minutes, we get charged $1.75 a minute. And it was very broad, so I wanted him to kind of scale it down a little bit. So when I get that info, I'll send that out to the subcommittee.
Couple of other things, and I wonder, these could potentially be questions for, so, because you're engaging with the business association, right?
We haven't done that yet.
Okay, but these are just some ideas that were thrown out there from Hart when I had talked with them over the past year, is getting some of, whether it's the city or businesses involved. One was, he suggested, Hart did, you could find someone to make the bases, and that would save you X amount of money per each statue. So they have a form that we could use, and you just pour concrete into these things and you make a base and do that. So just, it's somebody who would do that. And I mean, there are concrete and masonry people who live and work in North St. Paul, that maybe there's a potential there, that we could get the bases made. I don't know how much it saves, I can't remember. I know I knew that at one point, but something to think about. The
I
clear
think it's
coat,
$100 per base.
$100.
But then, like, the question is, like, how would we get the base? How would we get the statue on the
Yeah.
base? How would we get, move those around?
I think we would work that out with Hart. 'Cause I think he's worked with a lot of cities to try and find ways to reduce costs. So he had lots of ideas. But it may be that if it only saves $100, maybe it's not worth it. So, but those are, it's maybe worth exploring. And then the packaging, I don't remember $100 packaging cost, so I don't know if that was part of, if they did the clear coat, that there would be a packaging cost?
No, that was part of the actual quote with the
Oh, it was?
$37.50.
Okay.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'll throw it out there. I think it would be great if we could have that, stick with that 5,000 price tag, because it's still not cheap.
Yeah. And so, question for the group is, like, because this is going to be next fiscal year, and with the cost of transportation, could we build the transportation cost into our budget and, like, we cover it, so that we could keep the cost down for people who are purchasing a
It would
snowy?
also help at this point so that we don't need to have that budget figured out
Yeah.
right now
Or like,
before we start approaching businesses.
'Cause we'd be locked in at that 5,000. We wouldn't have to worry about.
So I think that brings up sort of a principle of work that we would have. And so, and that principle is, would the Arts and Culture Commission ever condone using city taxpayer dollars, so our budget, for art that would be used by a private entity? So the question comes up to when we talked about the mural project, you know, like, if we were, would we even participate in the cost of getting a mural done if it was done on a private business? So that's the same question then, because we would be participating using taxpayer dollars to participate in a private business getting a statue. So
We do-
that's the question, yeah.
That's a good question, Tom. What I think is, it is a partnership, and private businesses benefit our city, and therefore, in my opinion, taxpayer dollars towards covering the cost of transportation for this program is not inappropriate, because the community will be benefiting from this program as a whole.
I appreciate
Yeah.
your feelings on that. I think this is a great topic for us to discuss and have it on the record as well. Anybody else have thoughts about that?
I have a thought.
Okay.
So, you know, like how we are trying to avoid the thought about like sponsorship or whatnot, right? And yes, completely understand, agree. What if, you know, like these purchasing entities purchase and voluntold to donate to the city, and we are like we keep all the statues and we place them on city land, and these, because like the intention of these are for like to attract people and also for the enjoyment of the public. These aren't for the sole enjoyment of these businesses. And you know, like I feel like, you know, yes, you know, like this is to promote our businesses, but
Right, so there's a couple things about that, see. One is, so first of all, to be clear, we wouldn't voluntold anybody to do anything with these things.
yes.
We hope that anyone, any business or individual who participates in the Snowy program is doing it in the spirit of the program, which is to attract attention to our fair city, bring more people, and have a fun community building event that raises awareness and makes us feel better about who we are. So it may be that you, me, or Village Pizza, for that matter, could say, I want to buy one of those Snowies, and I'm going to put it in my basement in my house, and no one will ever see it. And you could do that. You know, we hope that they don't do that, because the spirit of the thing is we want you to have it out and visible and available so people can see it, and we can have a part of this programming of advertising these things and bringing those things about. So, that said, some businesses may decide they want to buy this thing and they'll say, well, I just want to donate it back to the city and you can do whatever you want with it. Fantastic. So that said, that's fine if they want to do that, but I don't think we can make it any kind of commission or part of the deal, you know, that we would pay for any part of it in order for them to do that. Yeah.
Okay, so then I completely agree. You know, like it is their money. They can decide what to do with it. Totally agree. And you know, like would love for them to participate. I wonder if those who do decide to donate, we cover the cost of transportation for those who decide, you know, like who want to, you know, like for their business purposes, you know, like keep them, they can cover the cost of transportation.
So I think it might get a little tricky.
That does kind of tiptoe into the quid pro quo like pond a little bit, but the program is designed as a public program.
Not just business.
Not, it's a public program in general. And so that's what we're selling is participation in a public program. And private entities and private citizens are still the public. So that, I think that's the argument that supports.
Yeah, the way I see it too is as long as it's available to everyone. Say, for example, the mural is kind of selective, right? I think of the Economic Development Authority as someone who could actually fund this entire project. That's how I see economic development. There are cities that do it that way as well. But as long as it's available to everyone,
That's a
Public funds are
good
fine.
point. So it may be the reverse of what you're thinking, C, is that we say we cover the cost of the transportation unless you're gonna put it in your basement and not have it available for people to see, right? Because then it's really just your thing. And that would seem weird. I hope that doesn't happen, but. So I think that there are a couple things, because just getting back to this concept of the city participating in any kind of production of public art on a private business, right? And, you know, why would a person have public art at their place of business? It's a beautification, it's to attract people, attract traffic to their business, et cetera, that type of thing. Why did the city participate in the downtown revitalization program, including the awning funding and funding for, basically facades for downtown businesses? Is it not the same reason, right? Because if downtown looks good, so we would help, I don't remember what the participation level was, if it was 50% or whatever it was, but with the awning project, it was, if you wanted to, as a business, add decorative awnings to your building to make them more attractive and look better and help draw traffic and people, that the city would help pay for the cost of that. So to me, I don't see how that's different from this. And to your point, Lisa, too, with the Economic Development Authority, I could see that participation from that as well. I mean, really, we're trying to raise the profile of North St. Paul, right? Which is good for business.
I would say too, Tom, like I was in Minneapolis yesterday, and I drove past the Theater in the Round. And I don't know if y'all have ever been past it recently. There is an amazing mural on the side of this building right now. I will likely not go to the Theater in the Round anytime soon, although it's probably a great theater. But I'm going to bring my friends and my family to go see that mural and then visit the corner bar up the street and have pizza. Like, that is what art does to a community, is it brings people to that community, not necessarily explicitly for that business, but it brings feet, it brings people that will go to Roddy's or Newman's.
Agreed.
So I think,
Couldn't agree more.
yeah, I think we're on the right track.
What I'd like to add with that being said, maybe if the Economic Development Authority isn't supportive and willing to pitch in for this, maybe we could take it to the council as a project and see if they would undertake the expenses.
So I think we could, and it may be just the easier route then, and this gets to the whole point that we've been discussing. If we're comfortable with this, to say that we try and account for this in budgeting for 2024 and have a line item in there for transportation for the snowies.
Could we actually ask for more than just transportation if we're gonna do this as a project? Does it benefit us to do that?
It would bring down cost to businesses potentially, but then we would want to know that before we start approaching businesses.
Right.
And so shoot for the moon and try and end up with the stars. Like, what's the Economic Development Authority's temperature with projects like this and how they could support them?
Well, I think it's definitely within their scope. Whether they have an appetite, I don't know. I think it's certainly worth asking and having the conversation because it does just that. It brings people down to the downtown. That's the function of the Economic Development Authority.
So Lisa, can the Economic Development Authority make unaccounted for budget decisions throughout the year? Or would they have to have this accounted for as an expense in 2024?
No, they're their own entity. So yes, they can use their budget as they see fit.
So they can use it anyway. So they could potentially make a decision to say, we would like to, put in $500 per statue. That could happen. So, action item, who would like to approach the Economic Development Authority? You don't sit on that at this time, do you?
I don't. Tim Cole and city manager is on that as well, and Mayor Mungy.
Okay. Would it be wise, do you think, to approach the mayor and Tim Cole to present this to the EDA, or how would you recommend going about it?
I can also, Brandy Howe, the community development director's on that too. I actually have a
Okay.
meeting with her on Friday morning. I can certainly ask her, see what her temperature is on it, and she can bring it to the mayor and Tim and city manager
Yeah.
from there. If that works.
Great route.
But, if it would be helpful to have a sales pitch, we could be involved too,
Yeah.
I'd be happy to attend an EDA meeting.
Sure, and I think
Push
they
it.
have one next week anyway.
Okay,
But I'll speak with her about that, and then I'll get back to you right away on Friday and
they
let you know how
usually
that
meet
goes.
during the day,
Correct,
do.
yep,
okay?
3:00,
Three
On what day of the week?
Tuesdays.
So it's, I could possibly do it, but I can help be persuasive, maybe.
Okay. I'll certainly talk to her and I'll get in
Could
touch.
be available possibly after 3:30
Okay.
as
So
well.
Sarah, you are going to talk to Mandy.
Brandy.
Sorry. I said Brandy. Now I'll remember. You're a fine girl. You know that song? It's a great song.
I sure do.
And then there's a Mandy song too. Oh, Mandy.
Oh, yeah. Barry
It's also a
Manilow.
great song. People don't give Barry Manilow enough credit.
They don't.
They don't.
Could I just recap quick? So we are going to maybe, our subgroup can look at clear coat options to have artists do that themselves or for us to supply materials, et cetera. We will look at other options besides Tivoli too.
Right.
We will put in some sort of verbiage into the contract about potential price increases. We'll figure out what that means. And then Sarah's gonna talk to the EDA about supporting the project. Are we looking at that support being mainly for transportation or to support overall project then? That would be my question.
Lisa, do you want to speak on that? You look like you had something to say.
I would just ask what you feel like you need it for, and then another thing is to think about the mural project as well, to tie that in, because they are putting in this little park in between Sidewinders and the tattoo shop. There are some bare walls there. I'm just saying.
Oh, we are putting a park in there?
That is their plan.
Yeah, we can't call it a park though.
EDA.
EDA,
It's a temporary kind of
Oh, a
little
temporary
green
little pocket
space.
park.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
before we keep going, to clarify, Sarah, can you investigate clear coat costs and equipment costs for that?
I certainly can. If you have any input on what kinds, I have no idea.
External, exterior,
We
outdoor.
need to contact Tivoli too and find out what they recommend
What they
Yeah,
recommend.
they probably have Hart would probably have.
and go with
That
that.
takes, it's, no offense, Sarah, it just takes one thing off of our plate. That's really helpful.
Yeah, I can certainly do that, yeah.
Poor Sarah, you're getting all the action.
Sarah, if you could just take this entire project.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
That's how you really feel.
Okay, other, to recap, did you have any other questions?
No, I think I'm clear on what we've talked about and.
Okay,
With the EDA approach too, it might help if like with Project Snowy, things are line itemed, saying like, these are the total costs. What can you help us support with it? Because if they see everything lined out, clear coat, transportation, the mold, the base, the vomella, the artist stipend, they might have affinities towards certain aspects of the project that we didn't think about. And so I just suggest like shooting for the moon in a humble way, like being honest about what this project is and asking how they could support us.
Like even a flat $20,000 donation.
Anything. Because if they're ready to subsidize the whole thing, like say in like the perfect world, then it puts us in a predicament, well, what's our cap? What does the whole thing mean? And if they're like, we'll pay for 10, we could say, well, how about you subsidize 20 of them instead? And then we only charge half the cost.
Well, what if they pay for 10 and we don't need to approach businesses at all and we can put them in public spaces?
I say we get feedback from them before we start thinking about different scenarios.
But just like, I just don't want us to back ourselves into any corner.
Sure.
Thank you.
great conversation, though. This is, huh?
Excellent.
Yeah, it's a good conversation for us to have. Anything else on Snowy then? And then I know,
I think we're kind of sick of snow. That's
sick of snow.
for the record.
Yeah, but we don't want to be sick of Snowy.
We're not sick of snowy.
Lettered A, C, B, D, E, F. So I got my alphabet wrong. The next item up then is the mural project. Carey or Lisa, do you want to talk about that, or?
Yeah, we haven't had a lot of action on the mural project in the last month, unfortunately.
Yeah, so, you know, we did submit for one, what do you call it? Grant, thank you. And so we're working on building funding sources, but the same conversation that we just had, I would love to apply to the mural project as well. And I don't have this in front of me, but I think when we initially drafted our budget request, it included some dollar amount for public murals. And I'm not sure if it was even enough to do one, depending on the size of that thing, you know. So I think it was like to help kind of get some seed money, get something going, and then hopefully we could get some grant money and then try and take it from there. But what I'd like for us to contemplate is if we get no grant money, you know, actually very soon, if we don't hear of anything very soon, and now when the warmer weather is coming up, please, it's time where a mural would need to be done, where we would need to think about, you know, a call for artists or some sort of thing, identifying an artist, identifying a space, and executing on a mural before winter comes again, which will be, you know, like 4.5 minutes from, you know, next week, you know, the way things go. But so we have a limited amount of time to be able to execute on some of these projects because of the weather. So what I'm thinking is, do we try and identify a public space, or maybe even a private space, like you're just saying, if it's either wall of where this temporary park might go, or it's, you know, a partner that we've already been working with, Love Ice Cream, and find a way to get something done on one of those. So, you know, this would be probably a smaller cost project, you know, but where a business would already be willing to participate, and then we participate to some extent in order to just get a thing done. So that would be, just for an example, and that would be the Love Ice Cream example. You know, they've already said that they would be willing to put in this X amount of money to make that happen. And if we were to find some other, you know, without some other funding, I don't know how it happens,
Right.
right? So it's either gonna have to come through a grant where the dollars can be spent on private business, you know, public art on a private business, or it would have to be through some other means. And that gets to what we were just talking about, EDA. So, you know, EDA, the discussion there would be too, would be like, how do they wanna, or would they have interest in participating, not just in Project Snowy, but just in public art in general, as a way to build excitement about our city, bring traffic.
And if it's an incentive, you know, one way to look at that financing too is like a match. If we feel comfortable with the business matching 25, 50% of the project costs, I think that sounds
Right.
a little bit more appealing to the EDA probably.
I have a question that's not necessarily finance related to the mural project, but with the Lilly building going in, is
Yeah.
there first floor interior space that would be ideal for public art? Or I'm assuming maybe all of that has been decided already?
The entire bottom is live workspace. Yeah. So.
And they do have, there will be public art on the outside. The windows will be some kind, it'll be the historic pictures of North St. Paul. And it's some kind of imagery, or is it on the building? I know that there's going to be public art incorporated in the initial build-out of the plan.
Yeah, they did a really great job. They went to like the Historical Society and really the architects did their homework around that and designers. Yeah. But there may be space. There's live work spaces that they're saying is malleable or if, so I'm not sure when that's going to be done at this point yet, but maybe.
So I think takeaway for the mural team here, I think at our next sub-team meeting, we should be discussing how do we get going on a smaller scale project?
Do we get a time frame on when there'll be an answer to whether or not we receive any funds? I think it's in 2 months. 2 months, okay.
Okay, 2 months. So on the mural project, we did budget money for a mural, but that's for, ostensibly, we were thinking that that would be for a public space, not on a private business. But maybe that can also be open for discussion, how that might work if we were to do it on a private business.
And your line items too, I just double checked. You had requested 2 different mural projects, $2,000 each, so you have 4,000 for
4,000,
murals.
yes, it's not a lot of money.
I would propose if you keep the same principle as long as it is open to the public.
Right.
The only other caveat is to make sure it doesn't violate a potential sign ordinance. So if the mural is placed, I know the city of Roseville ran into this with Old Chicago, Snelling. They placed a mural on the Snelling side of their building that happened to be behind where their sign was, and Roseville made them paint over it.
North St. Paul does consider murals an exception. It's not included in the sign ordinance.
Yep. I verified that too, yeah, just to make sure from our
Yeah,
last.
so it won't be a
good.
concern.
Wonderful. But it was tragic that I saw that
Good.
happen.
And I just saw the Sistine Chapel a few weeks ago, so I'm full of ideas.
Can we keep it under $2,000?
We have to pay in florins, I'm sorry. I don't know what the exchange is. And I hope there's nothing against, nudity in these murals, because, that pornography of the David in Florence is terrible. If you got a problem with the David, you better not go to Italy, because it's everywhere. Okay, anything else on mural project? Utility boxes, I know we have an update on that one. Who wants to talk about that? See?
Yeah, Yeah, so,
You've been
I
busy,
will-
see.
tell me about it. So I will go through a little bit about our timeline that we have identified. Stacy will help talk a little bit about the programming of what we're thinking, how we're going to shape it. I think we shared last time on what we were thinking, but we shifted a little bit, so we'll give an update on what our thoughts. And then Lisa will tee us up on what we'd like this group to do, and I will share my screen when that time comes. So, as far as timeline, we're aiming for the car show around June 2, I believe, or something. And
Have them done?
yes, to
Okay,
have them done. And I know, Tom, we say you wanted this to be a quick win. We want to deliver this for you, Tom. I mean, not just for you, but for our city, right? For everybody to enjoy. And so, looking at our work, we're going to pick out images. We're going to open up for community voting on images, starting like this week to April 21 is our intention. There might be some we might shift a little bit just for how things are rolling out, but the intention is to close voting period around April 21, count, prep, and finalize the selections between April 24 to May 1, and then have the final selection sent to our vendor who will provide the wraps. And so giving them about like a 4-week time frame to kind of like create proofs so that we could approve it and then have them wrap it and then hopefully get them wrapped by June 1. That's our intention for our timeline.
Great. And so can you, and then you were going to share your screen or talk to?
So Stacy was going to share a little bit more about the programming, about
okay.
how we
Great.
changed from our last complicated way of doing things
Okay.
to a more simple way.
So essentially, we decided to help make this program a home run. We were going to simplify it a little bit.
Yay.
And in that, we decided to ourselves find the art and then have our commission decide on the semifinalists, and then we'll have the public vote for the finalist.
Okay.
And so the public involvement is still really important to our subcommittee and I think to this commission and to the city itself. So we want to make sure that it can happen. And in order to make it happen, that's why we simplified things just a smidge. So we, all of the subcommittee members did some researching and we tried to pull together as many options from like a broad array of interests and taste to present to everyone here that C can kind of speak more to, I guess. We had great discussions. Truthfully, this has been a lot of fun
Good.
to find the art. And we did decide to hold off on the high school utility box because we actually think it might be more beneficial to launch a program, and would love, Cece, your input on this, but to launch a program where the students of North can pick the imagery that goes in front of their high school.
What could it,
Oh, yeah, great.
Yeah, and the students can see what we've already done to kind of get like a baseline idea of what this program could be. But there's graphic arts kids and there's so many talented artists at North. So
Can I ask, as far as the images that you chose, do we know what the requirements are for resolution?
all of the images we selected were found, a lot of them were found through Adobe and Open Domain or stock images. We have resolution requirements that will whatever selected images are chosen, we'll confirm with Sara and Carey that they're the right resolution that's needed before we launch this for public.
Okay, okay, because, yeah, we don't want something picked and get too
Not gonna
far into
overpromise and
it. Yeah,
underdeliver, yeah.
yeah,
no.
okay.
That's a
'Cause
good
that's
point.
gonna be a key thing, because they may not be able to reproduce it in the size. And that's the other thing that I'm wondering. So how are these images going to be applied to the boxes? If you have 4 sides, 5 sides, is it gonna be centered and then dropped around it?
Actually, what I think is gonna happen, if you look at a piece of paper, it goes like this and then gets wrapped around, if that makes sense. So you wrap it around and then you fold it in on the top. But I don't know what the company does. We'd have to ask, I think
Yeah.
that's a good question to
Yeah,
verify with the
because some
company.
images may work better than others for that.
Yeah, you could, and I know, that's a great question. I was thinking that too, Lisa, and I know that there are a million pictures on, if you Google utility box wraps, and so you could see how that might look. But that could play into, I think, if you're voting on an image, because will the bulk of the image be laying over the flat top of the thing, or will it be seen around the sides, that type of thing?
And it also depends on C did a fantastic job of including the pictures of the utility boxes. Or Sara, did you help with that? It was teamwork. It's been a lot, but it's, so you can kind of the hope is that we can visualize what this will
Right,
look like.
right.
We can specify here if it has to go from the top down, or if it has to go on the sides first and then have the top wrap
You'd-
over.
So
You
if
know
the
what I mean?
top wraps over, then you'd have 4 seams on the top.
So if the top wraps over, you'd have 4 seams. I think you might always have 4 seams, though.
I could maybe help with a visual mock-up once you have an image selected,
Okay,
and send me some, like the image and the box. I can try and impose it on there to help.
That'd be great.
another thought may be a collage of images, 1 per panel.
That could be a thought for future projects. Right now, we're trying to just hit that home run.
Yep.
Because we are running into crunch time. If we want to launch this and have it meet a car show delivery announcement,
I think-
it's getting close.
Yeah, so I think it came down to the budget
Yeah.
to only having the option of doing about 4 boxes. So
Oh, okay.
that was kind of the idea, is that will be the round 1. Get those home runs, we get it in the car show. And then
Roddy's is-
round 2, there's going to be a little bit more opportunity for engagement.
Okay.
And Roddy's is included in round 1, but Roddy's is going to select their image
And
with some guidance from us. But
are they going to do a historical?
they would like to do a historical.
That would be fabulous.
Yeah, I
Okay.
was going to meet with Sue Springborn to get
Oh,
some photos.
That's absolutely great. And so they're going to be in round 1? That's the idea?
Correct.
And is the idea is to get 3 of these done in round 1?
4.
4?
Yep, so
Okay.
the intention is to do 4.
Okay.
And 2 of them will be open for community voting, and then
I see,
the 2
I
by
see.
Roddy's will be personal selection more so.
Oh, I love it. 4 boxes in round 1.
My largest concern with the images is copyright, actually.
They are.
Making sure that
They are, yeah.
Okay.
That is, Carey helped us choose a few websites she uses. So.
Oh, okay. So I'm understanding this better now. I love it. I'm just thrilled with this. And I look at the options that you already have right here. Great. Yep. Pick a couple, go, let's go. I'm good. And then if Roddy's, but then we're picking one of them then?
We are picking 3 per box so that we can offer it to the
I see.
community for voting.
Okay. In my initial research on doing this, I kind of felt like these boxes kind of broke out in 3 different ways. They had historical pictures, they had art style pictures, and then they had nature, And so I guess I would even, I don't know, this Muppet guy maybe would be art, I guess, but it would be cool to have one nature one and one art style one, and then Roddy's does the historical one. It'd be like, phew, you got 3 of them right there. Then you have one more to do whatever, I guess. So I think this is fantastic. What do you want us to do now? You want us to winnow down these choices?
Yes, because you know, like, at first we started to kind of like do it ourselves, but it felt a little like monoscopic. Like you know, like we're only 3 people and we don't represent the full North St. Paul. And we thought it might be better to get like more voices into this before we offer it up to the community.
Great.
And yeah, and so.
So the first 10 options then are for that irrigation cabinet outside the bookstore.
That's correct.
And that one's kind of a low, flat top. So kind of to Lisa Ritchie's point earlier, you know, how that would lay out on the top might be interesting. So that might predict what type of
Yeah.
art you would want to put on it. Maybe.
And I'd like to say, you know, like, you know, like the vendors are going to send proofs before they make anything. So, you know, like before they print anything, they will show what it could look like on the
gotcha.
outlay.
And I don't need to do it.
You don't need to do it, that's right.
So it could, you know, like if we wanted it to be a certain way, they could, you know, like make it, shape it, right? But just consider that, you know, like if we want to like put 2 pictures or whatever else, like I believe that would come into like the art cost, like having them do art work. And then they would charge us extra for that. And that's the only thing.
And there's a way to simplify this, I'm thinking. This is an assumption, so a question might need to be asked. Like, we look at the Muppet picture, the common color is teal. So we have the top of the box teal, and then that image wraps around the side.
Yeah.
You know, just whoop, right around the side.
Yeah.
So there's ways to still respect the imagery and not have it stretch or not have it be too awkward.
That, you know, that, to me, I look at that one, and it's like, well, that's going to be an Instagrammable thing then, right? At the car show, every kid is going to have his picture taken.
They're gonna sit next to the
Yep.
Muppet with a book
That's right.
in front of the bookstore.
Is that what kids are doing these days?
It could encourage that.
You know, so Lisa, like kids that have like right on their phone a camera, and what they'll do is they'll take a picture of themselves, and they call this what is it? A selfie,
My grandpa used to call it an ussy.
an ussie, and then they take those pictures and they put them on the interweb. Anybody familiar with this? Cece, you're our high school representative. Does this sound familiar?
The interweb, right?
The interweb, yeah.
Oh, okay.
I don't get involved in any of that, but I hear that this is what the kids are doing. Anyway, so I think this is fabulous. And so do we get to like say what we think our favorite ones are for
Yes.
each one then?
Yes.
How do you
please
want us to go about that?
I know. At first, I was going to be like, everybody get numbers, like write your numbers down. But I don't know who has what. Or like who has seen. I don't know like if everyone here has seen all the pictures. Cece, yeah.
I did send it out via email, so if you
Yeah.
have access
And
to
I'm
it.
wondering, being as that it's 20 to 8, do you think we could email our recommendations for this?
Do we want
I think
Yeah.
like
Wanna
a
do that?
ranked choice, so
Yeah.
maybe
Yeah.
your top
Definitely.
3, if you could pick your
to?
top
Each person
3.
sends their top 3 to Sarah
Yeah.
for each one?
That would work, and then I will tally
Okay.
them up, be in contact, and then if you could send me the images,
Yeah.
the original images, and I can get that into the survey, and we can get that going. I'm thinking probably Monday would be the earliest we could get the survey out, because Carey is out the next couple days for a family issue. So if that works, we can have that all ready to go.
Sorry, so you said you would get the survey for this group? Oh,
Nope, for the public. So if you
Oh,
guys send
okay.
me your top ones, I'll tally it.
got it.
I'll get you which ones were chosen, and then we'll get it out to
When
the
do you
public.
need those by?
If we could do that by Friday,
By
that would
Friday?
be
Yeah,
great.
let's move on this. So can everybody try and respond to Sarah as soon as you
How
can?
about by Friday at noon?
Perfect. Perfect.
I like
That'll
the
work.
flowers one.
And then I'll,
What if you wanted to pick an option for one of the different boxes, though?
So I think we're gonna do, everybody can pick 3 per box
Okay.
in rank,
Yes.
rank the top
Rank them.
3.
yes.
Okay, rank your top 3 per box
And we're
Per box.
looking at 2 boxes here, right?
and 2 boxes, yep.
I know, but what if I really like option 1 for the first box, but for the second box?
I'm so sorry.
That's all.
Not allowed, Tom.
I really like those violets or whatever they are.
Yep, and so also want
Good
you
on a
to,
smaller box, I think.
want you to consider, like where these locations
Yeah.
are, what they represent,
Right.
like the one by the bookstore being low in shape, like it's only like 2 feet tall or so. And the like the location, whereas like the switch box, so instead of doing the school switch gear box, we're gonna do the big one over by the townhomes on 3rd and 7th.
Because we
so-
want to do the school one later and have the school involved, right?
Yes, we'll have the students involved, and so that Cece can help us kind of drive that effort too.
The condo switchgear box, is that way on the other end, it's way down 7th? Is that where that is, or?
By the Holiday, and then like one street over close to us here, and then it's like by those townhomes, where
It's
those.
kind of by like the 5-way or 6-way stop,
Yeah,
right?
that-
Yeah, that's right.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, That's what I figured, I just was trying to place it. But yeah, that's a high visibility spot, I like it.
And would we still be okay with, if we get the survey out to the public on Monday, ending it on the 21st? Or is that too short of a time? That's 10 business days, so just under 2 weeks for people to vote.
No, I think we would want to extend it for sure.
You'd want to?
Reasonable, you don't think that's enough time?
I'd like a couple.
I personally think if people are gonna vote, they're gonna vote right away. I think, from my experience, extending it doesn't bring in that many more votes.
You don't think so? I
No.
feel like, like, well, the thing is that we need to like also,
Announce this.
yeah, make it, like promote it.
And it might be inclusive to have the options available to vote downstairs in
Yes.
person as well.
Which I do have a poster started, ballot started, so we're
Yeah.
we're moving forward with that too.
Sarah,
My suggestion would be to go to the 24th. That's a Monday. It gives exactly 2 weeks, 2 weekends in there for people to vote. That would be my suggestion. So I
Let's
wouldn't
start
extend
there.
it.
Yeah.
Right there?
And then if ends up like we have really, really, really low results, we'll reevaluate our timeline
Perfect.
Or just make a decision and move forward.
or that.
Do that too, yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Sarah, is there any city communication that goes out between now and the 24th that could help promote this?
Yep, so we have a plan to do it on all of our social, on our city website, the homepage, and then there's 2 newsletters that'll be within there too. We can put them in both of those.
We've met the deadline.
the 2
Yep.
newsletters, yeah, I like it. That's fantastic. Love it.
Great.
So to summarize, we pick 3 images for box A and 3 images for box B.
In rank order.
Yep,
1, 2, 3. Yep.
okay.
Yep. Yep. So everyone's input would be fabulous by Friday noon to Sarah.
Cool. This is great work. Anything else on this one then, on utility boxes? Let me see here. 2 will be voted on by the community. So one is, okay, so these are the 2 that'll be voted on by the community, 1 outside the high school.
Nope, the bookstore.
No, but I'm saying the additional one, so 1 will be outside,
There's
round
2.
2.
Oh,
No,
round
wait,
2.
not round
There's
2.
2 at Roddy's. I think that's where the confusion is. There's 2 outside of Roddy's that we're working with Roddy's on. And then there's 2 additional. That's where the 4 come in.
Oh, I see. Because they're 2 oddball sized ones, right? So 2 for community involvement and then the 2 outside of Roddy's. And so the North High one will be round 2? Okay.
Well, we're not picking Roddy's though.
That's right.
They are.
And then, so in round 2, outside high school, and that's where Cece is gonna come in, help us get that done, right? Student involvement. Cool, I like it. Anything else on this one?
Cece, will you confirm that you are okay helping? Okay, it's okay if the answer is no, too. Safe space. Okay,
I
wonderful.
don't think the answer is okay if it's,
Can we mute your mic? No.
Here to help you.
yeah, no, no.
Except for maybe
Here you might be voluntold, but no. No, we want to give you something to do, right?
Join the commission to be more than just
Right,
audience.
yeah. Okay, all right, moving on then. Art Cart. Lisa R. and Amanda, any updates on this one?
Yeah, Amanda and I met earlier to discuss this, and we've decided that the first, we'd like to roll out the art card again at the first car show like we did last year. And we will do our rock painting that we were not able to do last year because of the weather. So we'll start with that. Sarah, could I ask you to order another box of the rocks, just so we have plenty?
Can you send me what those are?
Yeah,
If I can't find it, yeah.
Yep.
That'd be great.
I'll
Yep.
send you what we need.
Round, hard objects about,
Shoot.
Stop.
sorry.
So the call for volunteers did go out. Sarah, do you know if we have any volunteers yet?
Not yet.
Oh, we don't? Okay, so before we can really plan the events, we'll need to know how many volunteers we have and what their schedules are. So
June 9th.
we're hoping, well, Amanda and I will be meeting again at the end of April 27th to be exact, to discuss it further. Hopefully, we will have some volunteers and know what their availability is, and then we'll be able to start planning and come back at our May meeting with hopefully some ideas.
Yeah, and one thing I do want to mention too is that first car show, I think I mentioned it last time, is the city night at the car show. So any of you that can be there and be at the art cart and present and talk about what we do in our commission, that would be
Absolutely.
amazing.
Oh,
Yep.
that brings up a whole different idea. That's the 9th one? June
Yes.
9th, that's the city night?
Yes.
Okay. That brings up another thing. This came up at a separate meeting, but remember when we were doing Arts Commission T-shirts? Mm-hmm. And do we?
They were ordered. I ordered them. Did you?
They were
get 'em?
ordered and they were all women's sizes and really small. So I don't know if they came in
Well-
incorrectly.
Well, they were women's sizes, but there were like large and extra large.
They were real.
The blue?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Seriously?
I wore mine to the
Yeah.
last meeting.
Oh, did you?
I did.
Oh, so you got one.
I don't know how I got one.
But I did price it out again.
Oh, no.
So if we want to do 10 shirts, it's going to be about $225, $250 to do shirts. But we did budget $500 for branding for this
Yeah.
year. So if we want to do that,
Well, because I was thinking, where did that come? Oh, Amanda was with us for the, we'll get to that when we're talking about the Autumn Arts Festival, but I think I think the T-shirts for this group at least, but then I think we might want something for volunteers, what's maybe more like a vest or something, I don't know, so that it's, somebody can wear it while they're
So they
volunteering.
know,
and then-
yeah, yeah.
But something to think about there. But it would be great if by June 9th we could have those, because
Yeah.
I would really like to, push for all of us to try and be there on June 9th if you can. Because just to have a showing and we can all stand around our new utility box wraps and talk about what else is coming. And the other question I have about the art cart, last year we ordered the big stickers to put on there, right? Did we put them on yet?
yes, they
did?
are on there and they look great.
Oh, fantastic,
Yes.
okay.
Yep.
So June 9th, at the car show, be there, be square. And then potential, sorry, Sarah, another action item for you is to look, but you've looked into some of these shirts.
Yes, so I just did pricing for our logo on the front and volunteer on the back. If we want to add anything, it'll probably add cost, but that's kind of where I was at. just getting a base price.
So somewhere other than Vistaprint, I'm hoping.
Yeah,
So do you have those shirts?
I do,
You
yeah.
weren't able to send them back, right?
No,
Okay.
So we have some, so like, one of them would probably fit Cece, right?
yes,
So
I can give that to
we
you
could give
next meeting.
Cece a shirt. Huh?
Cece has my shirt.
Oh, she does?
Oh.
Too small?
Yeah.
I mean, no,
I did notice that the Music in the Park dates got
Posted.
announced today. Yeah.
Yeah.
Will those work for Art Cart?
Hopefully if we do get volunteers.
Okay.
Yeah, because those would have to be managed.
Those were
That's another thing that Cece, you could help with is volunteers for the art cart, because didn't we,
face painting.
was our minimum age like 16 on that, or did we have a minimum age?
No.
You were thinking of the paint night? Or are you
Paint
talking
night.
about
I'm thinking-
volunteers?
Yeah, no,
Volunteers
paint
for
night
art
we
cart,
did
yeah.
have, yeah. The art cart we didn't have.
Okay,
Yeah, so no, we didn't have an age limit for people that wanted to volunteer.
great.
Because we did have Linda Zick,
Yeah.
who did most of the events that were scheduled, so we at least had one adult there.
Yeah, so I think if, as long as we have one adult,
Yeah,
and then go from
yeah,
there.
if you could promote that at school, that would be greatly appreciated.
So that's something, do we already have a call for volunteers out there? for that?
Yes,
That would
we
be-
do.
okay.
Is there a bulletin board that if we create a flyer you could put? Or do they not look at? No, there is. I don't know how often it's looked at. Okay,
Well, everything's digital.
yeah,
Mm-hmm. Right.
okay. Great, that sounds good.
Or what about, is there like an art room at the school? Yeah, there's multiple. Yeah, like, I think there was one when I was there. Yeah.
Sure.
Could we put this on Peach Jar? Like a call for volunteers?
For it.
Oh,
Is it like $25?
I can't remember. I was looking at it for, was I looking for call for artists?
Yeah, I want to say it was quite a bit more than that, but
Yeah.
I can't remember.
The first one isn't free anymore? So-
it's
we're
not
not
like a
as
drug dealer. First one's free.
When they rolled that out, though, I was vocal. I did not like Peach Jar.
I thought I heard things about it, but now you like it?
Yeah, no,
You
I
still
did
don't
not
like
say
it?
that. I plead the fifth.
Okay. So art cart, anyway, so June 9th, and then we're gonna probably be adding music in the parks.
Yeah, we would for sure like to do that, and then hopefully some other evenings during each of
Because
those
it
months
sounded
as well.
like the weekday stuff was just,
No.
no one showed, right?
No, they
Kids
didn't.
don't go outside anymore.
Correct. Yep, so that's art cart. Hopefully we can get some volunteers and get it rolled out.
We'll get volunteers. Anyone from this commission can also volunteer. So find volunteers, we have it posted. And then develop programming, we have it, so it's gonna be the rocks for June 9th, painting a rock. And then,
For a community garden is what we're hoping, right? I mean, people would, if they choose to
oh,
bring their rock home, they can, but we would like to have a community garden. We were thinking Housey Park, but it's yet to be determined.
okay.
Just trying to find a location where parks can work around it as far as landscaping.
And all the rocks won't walk away.
Yeah.
Great idea.
Okay, anything else on that then, art cart? Feel good? I'm glad to know the stickers were put on. I wasn't aware of that. Paint and sip. Lisa and Carey, so how did the first event go? It looked like you.
Fabulous.
Good.
Did you see the picture?
I did see the pictures, yes.
Oh my God, C brought like 1 million people. It was phenomenal. I can't wait for the next one. Do we have a date yet?
I'm
You brought a bunch
looking
of people?
at Tuesday, May 16th. If you could let me know if that is available at Casey Lake, that would work for my schedule.
Only boy.
I think we did 6:30. Yeah, 6:30.
Okay.
So yes, if that date is available, I will work with you and Carrie to get that promoted.
Sure, and
I'll
would
get
we
the
do
image-
that same lower cost we did this time? To
Yeah,
get more
that-
people again?
Yeah,
Okay.
we had talked, our intention was to hopefully use this as a fundraiser, but there was also talk of just getting the community involved. And I do agree that the lower the cost, the,
I agree. Well, and I'm sorry, did you say you have another date picked out? It's May
May 16th
16th? Okay.
is what I'm
At
hoping
KC
for.
still?
Yeah. C did forward to me the Kelly from Roddy's contact because she had inquired about having a party hosted there.
At Roddy's?
So, yeah,
Oh, that's a fun idea.
yeah, so I can look into that in the upcoming weeks and work with her as well.
Oh, that's a great idea.
And that's all I got.
Okay.
Yeah, C has a question?
I do. I wonder, being there, is there a possibility of us providing aprons for attendees?
Did you say aprons?
Aprons.
Very good idea, yeah.
Because I
Yeah.
maybe not something that they would actually completely put on, but I know I've been to other
Sure.
paint places, and
Yeah.
I think just having that protection, especially say if they wanted to do a date night and they went out for dinner and then they came back or something, and
Sure. Sarah, I'll send you a link. I know of some disposable aprons that would be
You know
good.
what would also be funny is to see if people have, I swear, we have like 20 aprons in our house, I don't know why. But see if people people that want to donate aprons, or even getting them from the Goodwill if they had them. Because it's funny, So
How
like,
is that funny?
because you have some odd old apron,
Oh, okay.
with flowers or something, and then, it's like when when the kid puts on the giant shirt.
Oh, yeah.
It's kind of funny.
Is
My aprons
anyone,
are all very classy.
Yeah.
yeah,
They're all,
So
you have
just
classy.
I have some fun ones.
let me ask you
so.
this, is anyone weirded out about wearing something like that? Like germs or,
An apron?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
No.
No, all of our T-shirts and our
That's
card
right.
from
Okay.
Goodwill, so,
all right. Just thought I'd ask.
no, it's good, good ask.
Are you weirded out by it?
Possibly.
I was gonna say, I'm a little germaphobe. I wouldn't do that, but I
Yeah.
could, yeah.
It can be
I'm
an
with Lisa.
option.
Yeah, it could be an
It could
option.
be an option, sure.
Yeah.
Wear a funny apron.
Yeah.
Or we could say these will be provided, but if you would like, you are welcome to bring your own.
Yeah.
That's good. Yeah.
Like we have like a cow print apron, like
Now that's funny.
it's funny.
You didn't tell me.
Yeah, you
But-
didn't say that.
But we have ones that I think are even funnier.
Really?
Uh-oh, don't go there, Tom. Don't go there. I've
Yeah.
seen those
The
aprons.
David one, yeah, you can get that in Italy, yeah. Everything, all of the souvenir things, it's all about the David's stuff, and I'm just like, oh, for God's sake. can you-
I would say the disposable, making them available, I think would be good for those who would prefer not to wear cloth ones, since if we're not going to be washing them regularly, that is.
For the Lisa Ritchies of the world that show up.
Yeah, and I have another thought about promoting, the events. I would, it's super fun, it's like you get to come together, you get to look at art and make fun of each other. It's an enjoyable event, and for the cost, it's such a steal. I would love to see this promoted more than it has been. And I would love for us to kind of think of ways to really,
Car show.
but that's in June.
And she's thinking long-term of
But yeah, and what is it? I think I had messaged this to Sara, but creating a Facebook event, putting it on Eventbrite. I Googled.
I have done Facebook Live events, and we could do that. Actually, our next event could be live and also a Facebook Live,
Well, I think she's just talking about promoting it on Facebook, not
Oh,
doing the
okay.
event itself. on
Oh,
Okay.
Yeah, just promoting, just like creating an event, because, like sometimes I look up events like, oh, what's happening around town? And then, I'd go look at Facebook events and like, ooh, there's something at, the Union Depot. So
So
like,
you're familiar with doing that?
I
I don't want to
as
put,
far as like
I don't want to put
being,
more
like,
on your plate, but I
interested or
don't.
something like that, But I would be happy to kind of help with that or like look into that. And, like even, I say that because like I try to Google it up about our event, so that I could get the sign up link. And it was, like, unless you're very, very specific, it didn't show up. So like, even if we were to like do Eventbrite, because things popped up for other events like Big Thrill Factory for like paint night when I wrote paint night. And
Is there a fee for Eventbrite?
there is not, unless
there's not.
unless you want like these super features, or like added features, then there's a fee. But I've created events on Eventbrite, and
Well, if it's okay with you, maybe I'll reach out to you and if you can show me or walk me through the process, and then I can.
I'm guessing
create the
that
event.
Carey would be able to,
Yeah.
especially the Facebook event. Carey can set that up because
Oh,
we're a city Facebook.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Okay.
Carey can certainly do Facebook.
Yeah.
I don't know if she's experienced with Eventbrite or anything.
Sounds good to me.
Is there, along the same lines, is there a way for the night of these events to maybe get access to the city Instagram and kind of post what's happening in real time?
I can certainly ask her and see how comfortable she is with that, or if she would even go herself and take some photos and videos. I'll run that past her.
Yeah, I agree. Promoting it would be very helpful.
Yeah, and I was just looking at the calendar here, and so May 16th, we have just one more ACC meeting before then. And even when I look at June 9th, we have a big night at the car show. We have 2 meetings before that, but our June ACC meeting is the 7th, just 2 days before that. So there's a lot of activity that needs to happen, just to make sure we're ready for these things in the next couple months. Okay, so it's promotion ideas floating around, yeah?
were we thinking of like scheduling them out at all? I feel like it could be helpful for people who could just kind of like keep in mind like, ooh, future events, because then it also allows us to promote it for a longer period as well.
Right.
Yeah, are we looking at maybe 1 a quarter on these?
I think we said, or
I was hoping to do them more often than that, but to be honest with you, I'm possibly going to be taking a part-time job as an art teacher with kids.
Oh.
So my schedule may fluctuate. I mean, that is 100% a passion, something I love to do, and look forward to doing that. So still want to keep doing everything else I'm doing, but my schedule may not be as open, and I'll just have to schedule accordingly.
I think 1 a quarter seems
Yeah.
good.
I like that idea. If we set the dates ahead of time, we could have a little
Yeah.
calendar people could pick up at the event, and then they
Good
could mark
idea.
it off on their calendar.
And don't get me wrong, I don't have to be the only teacher. If
Right.
somebody
Oh, yeah.
wants to offer to do that,
Easiest
that's,
to work with you.
oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
every other month.
You know some people, don't you, Amanda, that could do this?
I've asked that before. I know several artists who teach workshops, but they teach very specific, like, I know watercolor artists who will do house portraits.
Oh, okay.
And they're a bit more expensive than $10 a person.
Ah, I see, right.
But they're artists.
Yeah, yeah.
Artists
No,
do
we
like to
want to,
paint.
yeah, that makes,
If you want me to reach out to, I know a few of them that do workshops other places. If you want me to reach out to them, I can certainly do that.
Yeah. I think that'd be a good idea.
Okay.
Because every other month seems like a
Or
lot.
would there possibly be any high school students that might be interested in teaching? Okay. Could maybe. Okay, that's fine, that's fine. We'll work it out, we'll get. Sure.
Is there a budget to pay another teacher, I wonder? Or are we strictly looking for just someone to volunteer?
Did we have a line item on that? And I thought the paint and sip there was,
I don't think there was.
no?
No, we don't.
Because I think we had bought, we bought most of these supplies before the end of last year.
Right,
Yes.
right, so there wasn't a fee included for, or I mean, we didn't have a line item for an instructor at all.
Okay.
But moving forward,
Yeah,
Great
something to
idea.
think about. Need
What I
budget.
think might be the situation with these artists that I know is whatever the class fee is, they get a portion of that.
Well, and I would think that too, I mean, I think part of what our purpose here is to provide opportunities for the community. Like, looking at it as a fundraiser, I think is kind of like, I don't think there's that much money to be made. So, to me, it would be like, well, anybody that shows up, if there's a cover charge, all that goes to the teacher. So, could. Right, could be $100, could be
Okay.
$300, I guess it, depends on how much you charge and how many people show up.
be interested to hear what their rates typically are too and how they charge otherwise.
I also found a Facebook group called, I don't know, it was like Artists Collective, Minnesota Artists Collective or something like that. And, it's like a page or, like a group. And I wonder if we could just also just post and ask, artists
Absolutely.
within Minnesota.
That's a good idea.
You can ask around too.
Great. Okay, I took a note here to consider budgeting for teachers in 2024. We got a couple budget things already to think about for next year. We're gonna be way ahead of the game.
That's good.
All right, Arts Festival with Parks and Rec. Amanda, do you want to talk about this?
Sure. So, we have an official date and everything set. It will be September 16th from 11 a.m. until either 6 or 7 at Casey Lake. I am working with Carey on getting the artist applications out, which is the other form that you got in your email. I just wanted everyone to kind of see what an artist application would look like. That's really all that's there for, but if you have any opinions on that, please let me know. There are, I think, one or two things I wanted to bring here. One of those is, as artists are applying, they are selecting a category, so whether they're a painter, a sculptor, etc. And there were a few categories that I don't typically see in art festivals, but I do see in some of my more like maker craft show areas that I'm wondering if we would want to include. One of those is a fair trade category, and if you don't know what that is, it's essentially artists from, example, like Cambodia or these are third world countries are making the products, and the fair trade companies here are purchasing them from these artists and selling them here. So it is still kind of a buy and sell, which we don't typically include, but because there is an artist on the other end and supporting the fair trade, that's an option that we can include. Culinary arts is something that's not usually included or is included in a separate section, so something we couldn't do there. And then this one, I don't know what to title it, but I know a lot of soap makers or essential oils, basically like a healthcare or beauty category. And I just wanted to throw those out to the commission and see what you think about including those.
Personally, I think the more vendors, the better, the venue.
So I think Amanda's kind of selling this short. First of all, Amanda has been outstanding on this thing. So it's a whole different ballgame when you have somebody that knows what they're doing, unlike me. Because of Amanda's experience in doing this kind of stuff, I mean, she's been absolutely fabulous in planning and helping us think about it. The other thing too is, so last year the thing was called the Fall Frolic, and it was like in December or something like that. I don't know, it was cold.
It was October.
It was October, but it was cold. So this year it's gonna be earlier, and the name of it is now the Autumn Arts Festival. So this has shifted in tone and scope because it's really now focused on the arts. Last year it was two, I would say, because we had live performance arts and then we had art vendors. But so we're really shaping this more as an arts festival. We're calling it an arts festival. It's going to be earlier, so hopefully it won't be so cold. But we're still looking to have live performers and many, many, many more vendors, I'm expecting. So I think last year we had about 20, and I don't know, did we talk about a limit? I don't think we did yet.
No, but I wouldn't put a limit out yet. We don't know what space we're using, so.
Yeah, so, but I mean, I would expect at least double that this time. And so, things had kind of changed because, we were looking for this we had ideas about doing this downtown, and it would be, more like the old Crazy Days type of thing or something, but there were a lot of reasons not to go that direction. So in pulling back, I think we ended up landing on something that's really good. And I
Yeah,
think
and
this is going to be great.
going forward, I mean, we'll also be looking for, I think, it hasn't necessarily been talked about, but art performers, artists who can demonstrate their work in a space, and a lot of other areas for that too.
Yeah.
So, all good on those three other additional categories?
Love it.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I would, Paula Clegg at the high school is a ceramics artist, and she was willing to do some, we just ran out of time last year when
Oh,
we
to
were
do a
planning.
demonstration?
Which we were gonna put her on stage or something, but if it was a tent or a table, like a throw
Inside.
your own ceramics or something, like,
She could be inside the building. So, because last year, the whole Casey building was really kind of reserved for kids' games and stuff like that. But we don't really care about kids. No. But it's just that, with the focus, what is a frolic? What is a fall frolic? So I think it was so ambiguous what the whole thing was last time. So it was hard to, and it tried to be all things for all people, really. So we wanted to have kids' things and everything. Not that we wouldn't have things for kids, like we hope to have face painting. And Cece, you do face painting? Or you got some?
Regretting bringing that up.
Well,
You don't have to be a great artist. Kids are. No,
Good.
you would be fine if you would like to do it. You would be fine.
we're looking for wandering
and your
minstrels who
friends.
can paint faces.
Cece,
But there'll be things for kids, but the thrust of the whole thing is that it is an arts festival, and not that it's a generalized frolic.
It's a lot clearer mission now.
Yeah,
Yeah, so
And
the
so-
Parks Board or the Parks Commission is taking on looking for food trucks and the music vendors.
Right.
Because they do that a lot with the parks
Yep.
events too. And then
yeah.
kind of responsible for the rest of it, it seems like.
So I'm excited. I think this is going to be neat. It's a clearer focus, and we've got Amanda, and, so I think she's going to do great with helping line up artists and everything. I think this, it's going to be fantastic. But great idea to get, is it Polly or Paula?
Paula Clegg.
Paula, maybe,
Can I spell your last name?
Yeah, I can send you her Instagram account.
but maybe, some sort of presentation in the park building then, because we could use that space, because it won't be, we can do whatever we want with the space.
I will be looking for lots of volunteers for that event. I was talking with Sara and Carey about this as well. Because of the length of the event being longer than last year's, I envision volunteers working maybe 2-hour shifts. So getting volunteers who can work throughout the day for booth sitting, what I would think
Yeah.
of an informational booth. I was just thinking of either high school or I was thinking Boy Scouts if they need volunteer hours, things like
Yeah.
that.
Great.
NHS can volunteer for any arts and culture event.
Yeah, what studio are you at? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
What kind of
Look at us.
dance is it?
Say no more.
That's cool. What kind of dance? Very cool.
Inspiration Performing Arts Center. Please do. September 16th. If you would like to come and do a, I don't know, if demonstration is the word, or do a show, a gig. We'd love to have it. Last time, you know, we had Indian dance, we had Mexican folk dance, and we had an acoustic singer. We had, and what else did we have? So we had North High came, did some of the musical theater stuff.
I have 2 questions.
Yeah.
Are you guys still contemplating about, you know how like last year we thought about providing a stipend or honorarium for those who performed? Is that something that you guys are considering at all this year, or?
You know, that's a good point. We should probably just get that out front, because we did not do it last year. It was not offered. One performer asked. But otherwise, we didn't.
Yes, and I did get some negative feedback from finance on that they would rather know up front rather than after the performance giving a check out, so just keep that.
Well, we knew up front. I mean, we knew ahead of time that, you know, before it happened, but then they,
Okay.
you know, they came back and asked for more.
Oh, okay.
Part of the problem.
For fairness, for equity, you know, like I wonder if it is something that is considered that we do it for all. or-
Yeah, that's a good thought.
Yeah. That there's just like maybe a flat
Yeah, for like
Performance.
this
cost.
set
A
of.
performer stipend, is it just because it's like, you know,
And they can choose to opt out of it if they don't want to receive it, I would think.
Like donated.
Yeah, no, really, because some people, like, it could get complicated if a dance studio is like, I don't know how to accept this, I don't know what to do with it. Like, it could happen with certain performers, or they could just take it and love it,
Yeah.
but.
Tom,
Well,
you'll be
at the-
talking to, oh, sorry.
sorry, no, I'm just adding it to our list to make sure we think about that.
Just wondering if you're going to talk to the high school performing arts groups again this year for.
You know, I was thinking that we could, we haven't even got that far. Our last meeting was where we kind of just figured it all out, like how it can work, so.
Finally decided dates and where we're gonna be.
Do you have thoughts about that?
Of course.
Like, don't ask them?
No, I absolutely ask. No,
Okay.
yeah, Fusion Drumline is now the MPA champions, state champions.
Fusion Drumline.
So they would be a great, great group.
And I mean, like, if you are offering like a performance stipend, you know, like I think there could be other interests as well, like from other groups. So just saying that, I did have another question. With Tom's comment there, have you guys thought about layout at all?
Thought about what, did you say?
Well,
Layout of the event?
Oh, it's gonna change.
I have thought about layout.
Okay.
We've thought a
but-
lot about that.
Yeah.
Okay, because I'm like, it was so sad about the performers being,
Yeah.
That, they're not gonna be there.
okay.
We
Tom and I will
we
fight.
want performers to be more
Little
central.
Oh,
Yeah, because the
stage.
performers were
Ooh.
pointing out away from everybody. It
Yeah.
didn't make sense. And that's just the way the park is laid out. So now with more time and more experience, we're gonna work on that. What did you say, Carrie? It's Fusion Drumline?
Yep.
That's the North High Drumline? Mm-hmm. Okay. Open to all ideas, if anybody else has other ideas for performers, but we can talk about, you know, some kind of stipend just to, I don't know, put it in their general fund or whatever, I don't know. But that could come out of, booth fees, whatever.
And then I would recommend looking at the indigenous roots in the east side. It's on East 7th. And yeah, they just have a ton of different arts and performers from preserving particularly
Have to
Mexican
find
art.
more North St. Paul groups.
Well, actually, Tom, in the meeting that you missed last week, Sarah presented a wonderful list of community organizations that have a various different focus, cultural focus.
Yeah,
Than last month's meeting packet.
great. Okay, so I think we have to keep going here. It's getting late. Anything else about the Arts Festival, Amanda? I'm excited. I think we're gonna have a lot of artists, and what we're really hoping to do is fill the day with all kinds of other performers and face painters or whatever we can.
Is there a date I can save on my calendar now?
Yes, it's September 16th,
Okay, thank you.
11 to 6 or 7.
And I'm gonna hope to have this application for artists ready. If Carrie's gonna be out the rest of the week, then it might be Monday or Tuesday until she can get to that. So yeah, next week it should be good to go then.
Good job,
Holy
thank
cow.
you.
Getting a lot done here. Okay, public art code discussion. That's the next thing on the
Sure.
list.
Yeah, we'll keep that short because we've already talked about it a few times, but I think we just need an official recommendation vote on if we want to stick with what Minnesota statute has or if we want to go ahead and start writing our own code on public art.
I vote, I know we're not voting right now, but my recommendation would be to stick with what the state has.
I concur.
Sounds good.
Do we want to vote on that? Do we need to
I-
vote on it?
Yeah, as an
Make it
official.
Should-
Yeah,
should we
we'll make it
vote? We can
official.
vote to make it official, so we will adopt the state, I don't know if it's a statute or if it's just a
It's a statute, yep.
I think it would have to be a motion by someone.
So moved.
Minnesota statute. So, I'll entertain a motion to accept Minnesota statute 450.20 Art Commission Work of Art, as it is listed right here on this paper that Lisa Wong handed to me.
So moved.
Second.
I got a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Our North St. Paul Arts and Culture Commission has adopted Minnesota Statute 45020. Thank you, Lisa. Taking care of business in a flash, just like Elvis. All right, so we're on to old business. Do we have any old business? Okay, reports from staff. Commissioner, city emails update. Sarah, do you want to introduce this one?
Sure, yeah, so I'm sure most of you have seen your invite for your city email. That has been asked now to be the exclusive email that I communicate to you with. So starting after today, that's what I'll be communicating to you on. If you have any issues logging in or accessing it, Carey will be, Carey Erpenbach or myself can help you get logged in there. It's just a short activation. Pretty easy, but very exciting.
Yeah, so does anyone have questions about that? So I know this is a thing that you've got an email probably from Carey, and we're gonna have to adjust. Because it's a little bit of an adjustment when all of a sudden you have a new email address that you have to go somewhere else to find.
I love that it's all separate from my personal email though.
Yep,
Yeah, I agree.
so,
So data practices, yes. That's a good idea.
and so this email, we should use this email even when we're doing like subcommittee work back and
Yes.
forth?
Yes.
Yep.
And the reason for that is if there's ever a data request, it's easy to collect and,
Yep.
yeah.
So it can be, from my experience, and Lisa Wong, I'm sure you have this too, but now you're juggling 3 email addresses because you got your personal, you got your work, and now you have this one, so it can be, it might take a little time to get into the practice, but if everyone can please work on doing that.
I have a are all of your emails on Outlook?
Pardon me?
Are all your emails account on Outlook? 'Cause-
No.
Oh, okay.
Is this one on Outlook? The city one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is? Okay.
Is this going to change our civic clerk access
Yes, so now it's gonna be exclusively with your city email as well.
and
So
city email password?
Yes, yep.
Okay. Anything else on that?
Not on that. I do have one other thing. I want to touch back on the T-shirts.
Oh, okay.
We for sure want to move forward with that, and if we do, I can reach out to you, get your sizes, and move and start making them if that.
I think so.
Works. Okay.
But I would love to see if we can make use of what we did get.
Yep,
So I don't know
yep.
if,
And I can bring those to next meeting too.
okay.
Yeah, I think we need, just to look at like additional sizes, it sounds like, and, yeah.
Sure. Well, I'll ask for sizes. What we have, I can certainly give to you, and if we need to order more, I can do that as well, if that
Great.
works for you. Okay, that's all I got then.
Thanks, Sarah. Okay, reports from commissioners. I will start down here. Lisa Ritchie, you got anything?
I do not.
Carey?
Nope.
Stacy?
Nope.
Nothing from me. See, anything else?
Nope.
Amanda?
I will not be at the May meeting.
At the May meeting, okay, our next meeting. Okay, so I got you covered for any updates for the Arts Festival. Reports from Council Liaison, Lisa.
Sure, yeah, council's been pretty active, at the legislature.
Yeah.
So, we're asking for, funding for the community center, about $4 million for that project. It's like a multicultural outreach center, and then there's also, like a sustainability demonstration garden or space as well, so. And then also, we have asked for funding to complete the Silver Lake Trail, just right up where it is on 120. It's super dangerous. There's no sidewalk, and somehow there's a bus stop right there. So really looking forward at maybe, I think a boardwalk is what we're asking for. So so we're just going to continue being with our partners in front of the legislature and our representatives and
So I'm so excited about the potential for the boardwalk, the Silver Lake Trail. How does it look right now? Does it seem like there's potential?
I mean, there's been a lot of asks. I think our lobbyist said that there were typically 700 bills. This time around, it's 3,000, so they are looking at a lot of them. However, we've never really asked for state funding very often at all. So this is one of the first handful of times, so it's definitely, in my opinion, due.
Well, it would seem to me that the Silver Lake Trail, that road is state, 2 counties, 3 cities, right?
Yeah, and that's something we did emphasize to them as well, that it is, would benefit the community college as well. But at the end of the day, I think they were looking at safety as a priority too, and
Yeah.
that certainly is it.
And the community center, so is that proposal or that ask, is that related to the focus group that Craig Waldron has been leading and what may potentially come out of that?
So I believe Craig has taken a step back from the community center. We do have the Wold architects who are contracting to help us facilitate the work. So they're doing the community engagement piece, and they're kind of have done the facility assessments and all of that. So they're going to continue leading this into more community engagement, so we can get a better idea of what that community center might look like, because it might change too. So again, it comes back to what is possible, so.
Well, I think these are both really great efforts, and I think would, especially I think that trail could just really change a lot for our town. I mean, to have a trail all the way around the lake now,
What?
be pretty amazing. So, so good luck with that.
Thank you. And I did ask the city manager in regards to a tour for commissioners here, and so I believe that there's going to be some sort of survey that goes out to all commissioners to see, you know, what you're interested in and what your dates are for availability. So keep an eye out for that. And I think that's pretty much it, but I will stand for any questions if people have them, but
Any
otherwise,
questions for Lisa?
ready for bed?
I just wanted to say, Cece, hey, great, you know, you're getting involved here tonight. Do you feel okay with, are you walking out of here with a list of stuff you have to do? Or you know, I want to make sure that we're, you know, taking care of you, and you, if you have, if you need anything from us, ask Sara, she takes care of everybody. But if there's anything you need from us, whether it's resources or information or anything like that, but I think this is great because we're already seeing how valuable it can be to have someone like you here, so. Yeah, it's great, a lot of opportunities, I think, to get you and your classmates involved, so I think it's pretty neat. Good. And before we adjourn, Sara, I also want to just thank you for your excellent work. I mean, you're so positive and sticking with us. I mean, if anyone didn't notice, we're a busy little group here. And we covered a lot. There is a lot that's going on. The Project Snowy stuff, it's a lot of work. We had a big discussion about that. The utility boxes, I can't wait. That's going to be really great. And all the other things that are going on. So it's just, there's a ton of stuff going on. As I'm going through our A3, I'm sitting here and turning things green as things are being accomplished, you know, and so we're starting to see a lot of green on the plan here now, and that's pretty cool. So we're getting things done, and that's exciting. And I'm really looking forward to seeing more of these things come into fruition and have those visual representations of our work show up around town. So really appreciate all the work everybody's doing, especially the work in between the meetings. It makes a difference. And boy, when we get out to the car show this summer and we start to see those utility boxes and we start to see somebody getting to work on a mural somewhere and we start to see the art cart with the new stickers on it and all this other stuff, it's going to be pretty cool. And our T-shirts. So, you know, it's I think this is the year where we're really, our presence is going to be felt throughout the community. So let's keep it going. Appreciate the work that everybody is doing, and this is why we're here. It's happening. So let's keep it rolling. It's great. Thanks, everybody. So if there's nothing else, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Thank you. Anyone want to second that?
Seconded.
God, usually people jump on this one. All right, all those in favor, say aye. Aye, opposed?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned at 8:35 PM.